Hey!
All right.
Woohoo!
Took a second, but we got it. We got it dialed up.
I'm like, I have no idea what I
Uh,
did, but
I know I'm the same. I do probably, 3 or 4 of these a day just from teaching at BCIT. So I'm like, what am I doing wrong here?
what
What is
what is the
going on?
magic button?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hi, Abby.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, really good.
Excellent.
It's
Excellent.
I guess it's been probably about a month or so since you and I did that podcast with Dean Blundell.
I think so. Time this year has just
About that,
obviously
eh?
flown by. I don't know. I can't even believe March was 7 months ago, 6? Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I have been working from home
hmm
since then.
Yeah, I was home and I just recently started a new job, so I'm getting used to a new schedule and like working. I'm like up at 5:30 in the morning.
Wow. What
Yeah.
what's the new gig?
Oh, it's like it's an admin gig for a place out in Burnaby. I don't know. Like, are you recording right now? You
Uh,
are recording.
yeah.
Oh shit. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to like.
No. Yeah, don't. If you don't want to, tell me to take a hike.
Can we rewind?
Yes, we can.
I'm sorry.
Let me
I'm sorry.
let
I should
me ask you
I don't
this.
know. Like I'm trying. I don't know. I don't know yet if they want me to
That's fine.
combine
You don't need to
combine
tell
my
us.
worlds
No, you don't need to tell us where you work. Like
publicly.
whatever.
I'm sorry.
I want to know. I want to know
I get
this
a
though.
lot
I
of
want to
shit
know.
on Twitter, and I don't know if I want them to find out
Right.
because that has nothing to do with them. I just don't know.
No, of course not. How do you know Dean Blundell? Because you're also part of the Dean Blundell network, like we
Yes.
are.
Yeah, I met Dean through Twitter, basically. Met Dean through Graham through Twitter. Graham and I
Okay.
had some mutual friends, and so I started chatting with Graham on Twitter, and yeah. Just,
I just
uh,
love what he's doing.
mhm.
I've known Dean from my time when I used to work at CFOX and was doing the afternoon show there.
Nice,
And I
excellent.
and I went to Dublin, Ireland with him.
Oh,
We
really?
were the
Oh,
only 2 Canadian radio shows to go to Dublin, do your show right from the Jameson distillery. And that was when Dean was also drinking. So it was very, you know,
sweet.
we formed a
Which
pretty
is kind of a
strong
bummer, more
bond.
for you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just kind of curious because I've known Dean for like long time, 10,
hmm
15 years maybe. So I was just like, how is he corralling these people to, blog for him, to do podcasts with him? Like, I just
I
think
reached
it's
out
awesome.
first. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, you guys don't have a lot of women on like your podcast and stuff yet, because it was back in I guess March or April, and
Yeah.
really, I mean, it was just before Mercedes, and I think that another woman has sort of joined up recently, and
Well, I heard
now
that.
I'm
Yeah.
having a brain fart, and that sucks.
Yeah. Well, we'll just get our producers in post to magically edit in their name or whatever. Wh-
Oops.
How old were you because you're a published author, you're of course a blogger as well. You've got an amazing following on social media. How old were you when you got the writing bug? Like how did you
I think
kind of
I
get
was
into that?
6 years old when I started
Jeez.
writing, really. Like, honestly, like I've been writing fiction all my life. I could remember being in grade one, and every day in grade one, we'd have to journal. It was really about us just like learning how to write letters and
Right. Form a
sentences and
sentence
things
at that
like that.
point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So every day we would be doing these journals talking about anything we wanted, and I would write basically every single day was a new chapter in the life of my friends. So I was doing fan fiction for my friends from age 6, and so I've always enjoyed writing fiction, writing at all. And I just started in the last like year or so, um, really decided that writing can be more than a hobby. And I've just kind of gone for it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you must get this a lot from you know, the community. What do you
Hmm.
do when you're struggling for ideas and you're kind of running into that, like, I can't do it?
Honestly, it entirely, I think it depends on what is blocking you. Some people write really, really well when they're really low, I guess.
Yeah,
Some people can take darkness and pain and turn it into beautiful art. And for me, like 2020's been a bit of like just awful all around. Like I lost my dad earlier this year, and that was the biggest thing that was awful. It was just
right.
soul crushing.
We talked about that on the
Yes,
Blundell podcast, and
exactly. And so,
I mean,
but
that's
it,
something that Abby, I mean, I didn't mention this when we were talking with Dean, but it's something that I can't identify with because both my parents are still alive. So like and I haven't lost a brother, you know, or close friends or anything really, with the exception of like my grandparents. So
yeah.
it's really hard for someone to kind of wrap their head around just how much of a
I mean, and yeah, like my dad was my first like big loss like that for me. Obviously, yeah, I've lost all my grandparents, but you
right,
expect that a little bit more on a different level. So for yeah, it's just been a whole ringer of emotions I've never really felt before. I just haven't been able to sort of find that creative spark at all.
mm,
It's been really frustrating too because sometimes I'll come up with an idea and I'll want to write it down, and I just couldn't do it. I had absolutely no energy, ability to like be creative. And when that is an outlet for you, otherwise, it just sort of, it's really frustrating. It's really been hard. But I had an idea come to me the other day, and I sort of spent the weekend writing it, and I'm actually like, you know, it's super early stages and it may come to nothing, but the fact that I'm actually writing again is making me really happy. So,
yeah, something
yay.
about getting out of that funk. And
Hmm.
when you're not creating and you're not kind of getting those juices flowing yourself, like who are the authors and the writers that you you kind of gravitate towards and love?
Just, I mean, authors, I, I'll read anything. I'm
Really?
kind of um, curious about all kinds of things. There are certain things I'll read and not enjoy. I read, for example, um, the portrait of Dorian Gray, or the picture of Dorian Gray. I absolutely thought that book was like
Did,
terrible. And
did
that's
you
Oscar Wilde. That's a
finish it
classic,
though?
right?
Like, did you complete the book? You read the
I
whole?
finished it. Yeah. I
Wow.
absolutely
So
finished it. Even after reading chapter 11, which was really just about 8 pages talking about how rich this guy is and all of the things that he enjoys being rich.
that is insane. Okay, so what would make you say, "Fuck this" and put the book down? Like, is there
Nothing.
nothing? Like, once you dive, you're going.
Yeah, like I mean, it's kind of, it's a weird thing of, I used to not be like this. I would start reading and then I would get distracted and I would just put a book down and not pick it up again. 11/22/63 by sorry by Stephen King is one of those books. That was a book that I started reading and I was really enjoying it, and then I don't know, I probably finished the vacation that I was on reading the book before I finished the book, and I put it down and I never picked it up again. And um last year I did finally start from the beginning, finish it, and I sort of set a goal for myself last year as well. I'm like, as I'm starting to take my writing more seriously, I'm like, if I start reading a book, I'm going to finish that book because I started it. I mean,
You
somebody
you need to
put
know
work
how
into
it
it.
ends.
Pardon?
Like, you need to know how it ends. How do they
Yeah,
wrap this up? Like, what are they doing? How
exactly.
where's the arc? Like, you can't get 6/7 through a book, or you know what I mean? Like,
It's
gotta finish it.
true. Absolutely. Like you might as well finish it if you get that far. And if you only get like a third of the way in, I mean, some people will start a book and if they hate it, they're like, I'm not wasting my time with this anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't usually hate books. That's the thing. Like even with the picture of Dorian Gray, there were, some redeemable aspects to it.
Right.
Um,
It's
by the
not
time I got
complete
to the
shit.
end, I was like, no, the feelings I was having as I was reading this, hating it and thinking, oh, this is too much. I can't relate to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, they were justified. I got to the end and I still feel the same way. So
Yeah. Stephen King is the best though.
Stephen King, I mean, yeah, he's a great writer, absolutely. I think that he does sort of twists really well. I'm a big fan of writing twists myself, and I
Yeah.
think he does them much better than me, but still, you know.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
probably written a few more, pages than you, but
Oh yeah,
neither here nor there.
guaranteed.
That's all. It'll
Without,
come with
yeah,
time.
no, I wouldn't even try and like compete
Yeah.
with that. I bet if I lived to be, what is he, 75, I
He's got to be
probably
around there.
wouldn't be able to even say then.
Yeah.
So, and you know, a good, like, good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's still
but
super vocal. Like if you follow him on social media, he is constantly chirping off Trump, and he's active. He's vocal.
yes,
Yeah.
I like his Twitter account. I follow him actually. I don't follow a ton of celebrities on Twitter. Just, you know,
Right.
uh, I'm there to interact, I guess, more with people that will interact back with me. I guess.
Right.
I don't know. Um, and celebrities, I mean, you're just commenting into an echo chamber 90%
Totally.
of the time on
Shot
their like,
shot in the
why
dark,
bother?
and
You
chances
know,
are it's not even run by them anyway.
right? So yeah, I mean, that's not what I'm on Twitter for, really.
Yeah.
But I do follow his account. I do like his opinions, and I like the way that he phrases certain things, and
Yeah.
it's always fun.
Yeah.
And
I mean
but yeah, like
his books to movies. I mean,
mhm.
the
I
books
mean
to
his
movies. That's amazing.
yeah, I mean, and when I write too, I like to, I think, imagine my stories on screen, if you will. I think most writers do. I don't think that that's
Right.
controversial,
No.
but it's probably because of people like Stephen King where their stories become such excellent movies and television, you know? So,
Just
um,
because of the way they've laid them out. It's like
yeah,
almost needs that screenplay.
absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
um, just especially with the twists, you know, that's always really popular with television too. So,
Yeah.
um,
Have you been finding you're watching still as much TV and movies and stuff as you did at the start of COVID?
oh yeah,
Are you still ramped up there?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean,
It's hard not to be.
yeah. Well, and I was before too. Like I was not. Like I was definitely a Netflix person beforehand, if you will.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So that was not something that was like terribly impacted by the pandemic for me. I was just like, okay, so
Right.
well, I guess I have an excuse to just sit here and watch and binge
Yes,
something.
it's COVID. That's
Yes,
why. What
exactly.
what are you watching right now? What are you binging?
What am I binging? Oh, so well, I guess it's on Prime, but I was watching a couple historical dramas, and that's kind of sort of what has spurred my creativity again, I guess.
Oh,
And I don't know, because I don't usually write these things either. So it's I don't really know who I am right now. But I don't, part of me has thought to myself, maybe, you know, there's a part of me, because this is definitely the kind of book my dad would have been
yeah.
really into. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but this topic really interests me and I'm like super into it, nerding out a bit right now. So um, those I've been watching. I just finished Away, the Hilary Swank
Y-
in space one.
Yeah,
Was a good of mine.
that's on my list. How was that? I mean,
You know what,
the
I liked it,
premise
but
sounds
I like
awesome.
stuff like that. I
Yeah.
like post-apocalyptic. It's not really post-apocalyptic, it's just future. But I kind of like that what if sci-fi future
Right.
kind of themes. And obviously it's about a shuttle that's going to Mars to see if they can actually grow food on Mars because Earth is dying. And it's it's a little complicated, I guess, you know, in terms of like, is it the upper echelons of that kind of genre? probably not. Like it's kind of, did you ever watch The Man in the High Castle on Prime?
No.
So The Man in the High Castle, though, for me is similar, where it's this really high concept in a way, story that is so interesting in itself, but the elements of the show, whether it's the chemistry of the actors or the simplicity, I guess, of the script, just doesn't really lend itself to that really big idea. You know, it's not like, whereas Game of Thrones really had like that complicated story, but all of the elements of the series really matched it in a way, which helped it become so big. I
Trippy.
think.
Isn't it funny? You're saying it's set in the future, and
It has to be because,
it
like,
it has to be.
yeah, they're going to Mars,
Yeah, but
so it's
like,
not too far in the future, but it's kind of in the Handmaid's Tale, you know, maybe 20 years.
right, it's coming around. What
Yeah.
I was going to get to was, isn't it amazing now to look back and think of, like, when the 2001 Space Odyssey was
Hmm.
a big thing, and it was like, wow, imagine being like living in the year 2001.
And
God,
it was pretty, like,
that's
what
like
was it?
20 years ago now.
I know, and it was what dominated 2001 was, well,
Yeah.
9/11, but Britney Spears. That
Yeah,
we
that was
quite
also a
advance
big
as
year.
far as
Yeah.
they assumed we would have.
Would you take 2001, death aside, would you take 2001 over 2020?
Oh yeah. I
Like,
mean,
what a
nobody,
fucked
like,
up year.
I'm not the kind of person who's like, yeah, I want to be 16 again because 16 was so fun and easy. But
Yeah, right.
2020 sucked. Like,
It's been
you
a rough
gotta,
one.
obviously you have to live in the moment and live in the future, but my
Yeah.
dad was still alive in 2001.
Did you watch any of the US presidential elect or debate and the tire fire that it was?
I mean, so no. I got the Coles notes on Twitter and, like,
Yeah.
everywhere. Um,
I had
I
to.
Yeah, see,
I had to watch a little bit. It was so bad.
honestly, I cannot stand Donald Trump. Like, I just can't. I
Same.
can't. And for me, there's nothing about his. So for me, I can't stand him. I wouldn't vote for him. I have absolutely no common ground with his policies. So for me, watching it would literally just be to watch him, you know, yelling and being a bully, and I don't
Right.
enjoy it. I did truly start tuning him out a long, long time ago, and obviously you can't avoid the things that he says. It makes news, and so you find out these things that he says, and I constantly roll my eyes about it, and people will be like, oh, you're overreacting, you dumb liberal bitch, and I'm just like, fuck it. I honestly don't need to watch him. If I was an American citizen, I would have already mailed in my vote for Joe Biden, so
Right.
what's the point?
I feel the same.
I
And
anger myself.
do
Like, I'm
you
getting all angry right
I know, right?
now.
Uh, do you think he actually caught COVID, or was that a deflection from the shitty debate?
I think he did, because I just don't
I don't think
think
he did.
he, oh, God,
I don't think he did. I think that it was the shitty debate and the deflection. I heard that he has stakes or stocks or whatever in one of the companies that's creating the coronavirus.
One of the
Um,
drugs is made of
the,
stem cells, and all of
one
his
of the
plant,
drugs are,
all of
yeah.
his pro-life people have, like, they're like, aren't stem cells amazing? All of a sudden.
All of a sudden, right?
All of a sudden.
So I don't know. I feel like, I mean, it's shitty to think that might be the case, but it wouldn't put it past him that he's just saying that to be like, yeah, I came out, look how strong I am, strong as I'm the best president ever. Like,
But
he's
if he's
just
magically better, then he can have more debates. I
right.
mean, if they, I had I had a thought the other day. I was like, honestly, why not just have these debates virtual over Zoom, And when one of them tries to talk over the other one, you just mute their
Just
you
mute
mute their
them.
audio and let the other guy fucking talk.
I know, it's so bad. I felt so bad for who was that? Chris Wallace. As like just to try to keep something like that organized was just. I mean,
Imagine if
it's
you could just
chaos.
push a button, turn their mic off, and then you just literally have someone going.
Maybe that's the way to go the next time.
Yeah.
Let me switch gears here and hit into the music side of Abby Simpson. What's the
Okay.
music you're growing up to in the house? Like, what are your parents playing?
Okay, so well, my dad worked in radio, so
Oh,
I I do remember at like 5 years old, I knew who Queen and the Beatles were.
nice.
Um, and obviously I grew up on Sharon Lois and Bram and all
Oh,
that stuff too. You
of
know,
course.
he would get promo tickets to when Sharon Lois and Bram came to town and he would take us.
Nice.
Like celebrities. It's so fun. Um, and my mom, I remember she had 3 CDs she listened to a lot that are kind of embedded in my memory, and that was Janet Jackson's Janet album and Bonnie Raitt's Luck of the Draw
Okay.
and Tears for Fears Greatest Hits.
Wow.
And I love them all to this day. Oh,
Great
Tears.
records. I mean, that at
Yeah.
this point now they must be, it's almost like comfort music.
Oh,
Put it on.
I love Tears for Fears too. Like they're
So
just
damn good.
so freaking. I mean, Bonnie Raitt's incredible, and that was definitely the height of Janet's career for sure.
Yeah.
That Janet era. Um, all the songs on that album are fantastic too. So,
Yeah.
hmm
I didn't know that your dad worked in radio. Where did he work? What did he do?
he was music director at FM 96 in London for
Oh, London,
15
Ontario.
years.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up
Oh.
there. I
Oh.
was there till I was 20, and then I went to school in Ottawa for 2 years, and then I moved out to BC.
Oh, wow.
Um,
What what
yeah,
what made you what made you move out this way? Just
I got a job at
'cause?
Rogers Radio in Vancouver
Oh,
actually,
yeah, there you go.
and I worked in promo,
Okay.
in radio for about a decade. So,
Oh,
mhm,
wow.
yeah,
I
and
didn't know that.
yeah, surprise.
Yeah.
I'm on my like second life as far as careers go, I guess, right? Maybe
Yeah.
third. Who
Oh, that's great. So obviously with your dad being a music director, like it was big.
Yeah,
Music's big in your house.
absolutely.
Well, that's
Yes,
cool.
definitely. And I mean, I had my um, teeny bopper phase, obviously. I was a teenage girl in the late 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah.
So you can guess what my musical taste was like.
Oh, I bet you it was probably pretty good. What was your first concert?
But the first concert I went to for myself, like not because I would go to shows I remember I helped introduce the Tragically Hip on stage when I was like 3. That was fun.
What?
Um,
How
yeah,
awesome is that?
yeah, because it was like really like what was it? It would have been what 88. So they were just breaking, if you will. Like
Wow.
it was like their early career, and they did a show at Harris Park in London, Ontario. And my dad was one of the music directors across the country who was like on their music right away.
Right.
Um, and when they came and they did this show, I think it was a free show in Harris Park. Um, my dad did the like introduction from the stage and he brought me out with him. So I got
That
to run
is
into the
just
microphone. The Tragically Hip.
oh, that's so rad.
Yeah.
What a cool
And
memory.
definitely. So, but I mean, but the first one I went to for myself was Hanson. Yes, it's true.
I'll have my editors edit that out in post.
Thank you.
Save you
Yeah,
some
there's a
space.
couple
That,
bleeps now,
but that
huh?
probably was still pretty good. Like they're a pretty good band, weren't they?
Yeah. Like what they were that differed from like the NSYNCs and the Backstreet Boys of that era were that they were obviously a band, right? So
And they
they
were all
played
brothers, were
instruments.
they not? Like
They
that's
were
the
brothers.
Hanson.
They were, yeah, the Hanson
Yeah.
brothers, but not the hockey ones.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, the
but
hockey
they,
one's far superior to the Hanson singing ones.
I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
also 12-year-old, 13-year-old me would have viciously disagreed with you. But um Yeah, they did. They wrote their own songs. They played their own instruments. When the industry gave up on them, not what 2-3 years after they broke through,
Right.
they started their own record label, and
Oh,
continued doing
cool.
their thing. Yeah, they
Oh,
continued doing their thing for, well, they're still doing it
uh,
actually.
yeah.
I just gave up on them in 2008 when Zach Hansen said he was disappointed that Obama won the election.
Oh, you're like, that's it. I'm done. I
I was
can't.
like, I was already kind of like, all of their music's starting to sound the same.
Yeah.
I'm, moving past this a little bit. Then that happened, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. I can't support
Indicative of my
stupidity.
taste in men, because Zach Hansen was like my big teenage crush, like big, big. Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
had the biggest crush on him, and then I found out he was a complete and total like red state, like, and I was like, yeah. And I don't pick them any better, really.
The game changer. Hey, speaking of,
That was the nail in the coffin, we'll say, not necessarily the game changer.
yeah, that's it. Well, it's the TSN turning point. Sorry, buddy. You're
Yes.
supporting somebody that's, yeah. Um, we're talking Hanson brothers. Are you a big hockey fan? And what did you think of the way that they did the playoffs this year? And we got to wait so long now for hockey, and we had hockey when we shouldn't have had hockey. Like,
Well, I'm a
what a
Leafs
weird
fan,
time.
and the Leafs didn't show up
Oh,
for
sorry,
this.
this interview is done.
Mhm.
I didn't realize I
Yeah,
was going to be
that's
talking to a
fine. But like,
stinking
I
Leaf.
was just insulting them. Let me finish. Honestly, no. So being a Leafs fan, they didn't really kind of show up for this sort of postseason season, whatever you call it, and
Yeah,
so I was enthused. I was about as enthused about it as they were, let's say. I
right.
mean, it was nice. It was cool, I guess, that there was hockey, but um, mm.
I
it
know,
was.
and
I also felt like it was unnecessary, and I was distracted by the Raptors. Another unnecessary season, but they were actually doing well, and I'm a fan, so that was
right.
fun.
What did you think of the post production, or I guess it was live production of like the crowd and shit, like in the hockey games?
Yeah,
Like, don't
yeah.
don't do
I mean,
that.
it was. I mean, the NBA did the same thing. I mean, it's
It was
weird,
just,
but
that's
it is what it
dumb.
is, right? Like,
Just dumb. Like, whoever thought that was a good idea should, like, maybe not lose their job, but certainly,
you know what? So
get
I
hit
don't
with like a
know.
newspaper or something,
So part of me is also like, okay, like when they were like talking about sports coming back and playing in front of no crowds, right? I was just like, oh, interesting. Women's tennis knows exactly what this is like.
Zing.
And so for me, it was kind of like, oh, big deal, big whoop. You're gonna have to play in front of nobody. Like,
Right.
suck it up. Um, and yet it's not the worst thing, especially since these are the weirdest times, to have this really strange element. Like, some of the cardboard cutouts that they're putting in the MLB stands are like funny, and they're actually doing this on purpose.
Right.
So that's a little bit of, I guess, brevity to the fact, like, people are acknowledging, like, this is dumb. So it's
Yeah.
so dumb.
Yeah.
we're gonna
It's pretty funny putting
we're
just
gonna add a
random.
cardboard cutout of Spike Lee or
Yeah. Like, what?
whatever,
All right. Did I just see Spike Lee? I think I just saw Spike Lee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing. It does just add
It,
to the hilarity of it all.
yeah. It's a case of like, you know, something's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where are you most active on social media?
Twitter.
Twitter's the most for you? Yes.
Yeah.
Same for me.
Mm-hmm.
I jump on Facebook here and there, and it's just kind of, if I find a cool video, I kind of get sucked in and do the rabbit hole thing. But more than anything, I'm just on Twitter a lot. Instagram here and there, but not very much.
Absolutely. Like, Instagram, if I have a nice photo, I'll post it, but I'm usually also posting it on Twitter, right? I don't know.
Right.
Facebook, I don't really like. I was on Facebook, like, I still have a Facebook page, but I was on it. My dad was on it, like, because he was 71, he lived
Right.
on Facebook, right?
Right.
So
It's where the older generation go to for sure.
exactly. And
Yeah.
he's not around on it anymore. Like, so there are people that are still on Facebook that I go check in and see, like my aunt's on it and things like that, and
Right.
she's not on other social media, um but I'm not really big on Facebook really at
Yep.
all.
Yep. Fair enough. I think I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Van Halen
Mm-hmm.
passed away today.
Yeah. I
David Lee
feel awful for his kid.
for Wolfgang. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I mean,
Terrible.
I was never a Van Halen fan. I never was. Like, I, I don't want to say I actively hated their music, but I was so not a fan of it ever, ever.
Really? Like none of it? Like
No.
I was gonna say, like, was it a David Lee Roth thing or a
Well, I
Sammy
mean,
Hagar? But
it was for sure partially a David Lee Roth thing, like, but
right,
Sammy Hagar, I don't really. He didn't make it better.
right. Okay.
They're just the songs are just not. They're not my thing. Like, and you have a bunch of people who are going to turn around and go, yeah, but you liked Hanson, so yeah, like, fine. Music is subjective, 100%. I'm not saying the music was bad. I'm saying I
Right.
wasn't a fan of it.
You didn't like it personally. Okay, so let me ask you this so we can actually get a feeling of what your music world is like right now.
Hmm.
If you're on a deserted island, what are the 3 albums you need to have?
Oh man, see, that's like, you should have given me time to think about this. Oh gosh.
No, because then you'd
Um,
pick it apart and then you'd be all like, yeah, I'd need this. And no, we just want to see like the actual natural reaction. Like, what are the first 3 albums you think, like, boom?
okay, well then, fine. Joni Mitchell's Blue and um, Tears for Fears Greatest Hits, and I don't know, because I'm on a desert island, maybe Bob Marley, because then I'll just be
Yes.
not worried about leaving.
So good. I would
Mm-hmm.
take some Bob as well. I
I'm
would
just gonna
probably
enjoy this.
pr- probably Fleetwood Mac Rumors,
I mean, yeah, like, see, again,
right?
why only three? It's way too hard.
And then probably something super super heavy for those aggressive moments like Pantera Vulgar Display of Power or
Not for me.
Metallica and Justice or I don't know, something like that.
Nah, if I could take five, I would definitely add Rumors, and then I'll add the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
I
Let's do
mean,
that.
is Rumors the best uh album ever?
I mean, well, it's, again, music is subjective. I really love it. I think that it was the first album, was it not the first album ever in Canada to sell 1 million copies?
Oh, wow, that's great trivia. It wouldn't
I
surprise
think,
me if that was the case.
like, it's one of, like, the best selling albums of all time. So for
Yeah.
sure, it's objectively good, I
Yeah.
would say.
And like
Although
it's the
Fifty Shades of
story
Grey
around
was
that
one of the best
album
selling
as
books of its year, and it's not objectively good.
right, right. But it's the story that's around the Rumors record. How
Well,
they're
yeah,
all, you
the
know,
behind the scenes stuff
be,
is
yeah,
really.
they're all together and they're breaking up and all these. I mean, if you haven't watched there's that documentary like the making of Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Hmm. I
So
haven't seen it.
you need to, like, if you like that album, go and
Hmm.
watch this. Like it's only like maybe 45 minutes long, but the
Right.
producer and the engineer of the record are sitting with Mick Fleetwood and they kind of rip through the songs and they're showing, like, each on the board, the mixing board, they're only highlighting certain lines where you could hear, like, a really devastating singing line from Lindsey Buckingham where it's complimenting Stevie Nicks when you hear both of them together. And like it's really well done. It's one of those, like, you want it to be done for every one of those albums that again, the comfort music, you just
Hmm.
want you want to be able to get that behind the scenes thing, right? And
For
that
sure.
that
One
doc
of my
is amazing.
favorite album documentaries was on Highway 61 Revisited, actually. And again, there's
It,
another album, but
it-
it was about, so one of the segments, and I'll never forget it, it's like vividly burned into my brain, was the story of the making of, like, a Rolling Stone, and I believe it was Al Kaufman, a session keyboardist. Shoot. He, anyway, was called in last minute to play keyboards on the song. And obviously that song has a very prominent keyboard sound, right? Like when you think of the song like a Rolling Stone, you can hear the keyboard, right?
Yeah, totally.
And the keyboard is like an eighth behind the rest of the track, right? The rest of the musicians. And that was an accident. That was Al Kaufman coming in last minute, not reading the sheet music or having practice really beforehand with the band, and playing the note an eighth behind everybody else. And he knew he was doing it the whole time, and they played through, and he felt like such a heel. He was like, oh my God, like Bob Dylan is never going to have me be a session musician with him ever again. I'm so embarrassed. This is horrible. And they're playing the track back, and Bob Dylan is listening, and finally he's like, stop. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hear it. This is awful. He's going to give me so much shit. And he goes, the keyboard is perfect.
Nice.
The sound of it, like basically being an eighth behind, and it was like complete accident. And that is now one of like the most like kind of enduring musical noises, I guess, I don't know, of the track, if you will.
Well, yeah, I mean, it drives that track.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes,
right, and those are the stories. Those are the stories that everybody wants with the songs that, you know, make them feel comfy.
I mean, that documentary also had a lot of interviews with Joan Baez, if you want to go the Fleetwood Mac route, right? So Joan Baez,
I've written it. I've written it down. So you've got some homework. I've got some homework.
Done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Abby, I'm going to wrap it up here. You are.
Sorry, I talked your ear off.
No, not at all. Are you kidding me? We'll just do it again. I mean, you know, we don't have. It's not a one-time thing. You know, it's not a one-off. You are Abby the Tweet.
Yes, I am.
On Twitter.
Yes,
what are you on the Instagram that you're never on?
A.Simpson.A, like Canada A. It's not a very, it's basically anything you'll get on Instagram, you'll probably get on
Abby
Twitter.
Tweet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Beauty. We'll have a good rest of your night, and I guess we'll see you online.
Absolutely.